Can a new shiny attack win Enzo Maresca's Chelsea the Premier League next season? Well, maybe, and I'll tell you why. Because last campaign, they had the third best defense in the Premier League. And when you break that down, that's actually really, really impressive. And theoretically can only get better. So you throw in a few extra goals in there. What, can you have the second best defense in the league? Even if you just have the top three best in defenses. Best in defenses? If your defense is in the top three in the league, is what I'm trying to say, and you score a bunch of goals and you got a bunch of attacking talent that will, develop and they've yet to reach their ceiling, it's terribly exciting, and I want to speak about that in today's video. So, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well. Really do hope that. Yes, it's a sweltering day here in the kingdom, and even more so in my little studio. So, only Jans is back in the vest. You must forgive me. But I want to be comfortable while I talk to you about my beloved Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea players are currently in the Club World Cup doing loads of media. Well, they're yet to play. They play, was it tomorrow or the day after? Kicking off against LAFC, Olivier Giroud, LAFC. Yes, Chelsea are aiming to win the darn thing, certainly make a lot of money, and develop their brand across, the global footballing media. More people look at Chelsea. Look at us. Support us. Give us money. How business works. But I do want to talk about the attack. Of course, Cole Palmer had a good season last campaign. Not as amazing as it was. Probably a few things. Maresca's tactics to a degree, I imagine. Palmer's individual form. And actually, the team, it being more systemic. I suppose you could say that's tactics. Rather than maybe Cole Palmer hero ball, which might be a good thing ultimately in the long run. But Cole Palmer, you've obviously got Nico Jackson. Liam Delap, we'll speak about him. We've got Esteval joining. Noni, who's currently our form winger in Noni Madueke. Neto, who's widely regarded as a great hardworking player that should and will get better for Chelsea. For what we understand, Jamie Gittins is pretty much is nearly as nailed on as you could be in terms of people speculating that deal will get complete. There is attackers. Heck, we are being linked to even more attackers. Of course, Hugo Ekitike and Wultemada, if that is how you pronounce his name, or Waltmade, the young striker. He's 23 actually, but he's playing somehow for the under-21s. Yes, so additions to be made. We're going to get through it and we'll talk about the defence and the midfield and all that lovely stuff. Just a little bit of housework, mate. If you are new around here, why not subscribe? We are 204 subscribers away from 195,000, which of course is a lot of people. And I'm pretty proud of the community I've cultivated here on Football Therapy over the last 6 years, 7 years, however long I've been doing this. Some good people. So thank you. If you want to join the GOAT gang, essentially, like and subscribe me. All right, so before we talk about the attackers, which is the meat of the meal of this video, let's essentially highlight, look, championships are won on defenses, yeah? Chelsea have got surprisingly good defense. We were absolutely awful defensively under Pochettino. We conceded a record amount of goals. Everyone could score against us. We turned into the sort of SW6 brothel where everyone could score. Sorry for some trenches humour there. And it was bad. Suddenly, we defend better. Probably through the system. But Trevoh Chalobah coming in was important. Of course, Levi Colwill really finding form at the end of the season was important for Chelsea. Cucurella, basically still being a good player from the Euros onwards, really. Reece James coming back into the team is a great defender. And although I'm a huge, huge fan of Fofana, of course, we don't know what's going to happen with his injury issues. But even Rob Sanchez towards the end just started punting it long. He started going against the plan. If we get a better goalkeeper, Chelsea, I know the public sort of briefing at the moment from the club is, oh no, we're okay with our goalkeepers. Maybe we sign Mike Maignan. We don't need him. I do wonder if the reality in the background is Penders is possibly the truth. Maybe this kid is the future, but we need another goalkeeper. I do think, if we got the third best defence in the league with that goalkeeper who by far didn't have the most errors leading to goal in the league, And I don't want this is not a hit piece on Sanchez. He did a lot of good saves for Chelsea. He's not a bad goalkeeper. It's just my personal preference, and of many others, for him not to be Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper. So if you put in a goalkeeper in the third best defence in the Premier League, that is suddenly you kind of feel safe, yeah. And like I said, championships titles are won on defence. And then, I mean, talking about what we've already got, guys, the midfield, Caicedo, player of the season, fans player of the season. As Nick Valani of London is Blue says, the best ability is availability, always available, played every single Premier League game for us. And now, of course, he can have the stress alleviated off him a little bit with Dario Sugo coming in, the central defensive midfielder that's currently in America with the Chelsea squad in the Club World Cup, to basically alleviate some pressure off him, of course. And even like Andre Santos, of course, who is going to be in the Chelsea first team. A lot of people think he should be starting. I mean, I would not be surprised if before the end he starts. He chips in with a lot of goals, but he is amazing at defensive work, tackling and stuff. So suddenly you've got one of the, let's not go like too wild here to upset rival fans. Top 3 CDMs in the league, Caicedo, yeah? I'd argue he's probably top 2 with Rodri. So yes, we've got that guy. We've got Santos to come in. We've got Dario Sugo to now back him up. Suddenly, this structure with senior, defenders. I say senior, but 26-year-old defenders in Cucurella and Reece James. Suddenly, and even Tosin deserves a shout, of course, because he's won the affection of Chelsea fans throughout the end of last season. He's a good player. I think he'll stick around. With that robust midfield as well, of players coming in, Romeo Lavia, if this Chelsea medical team can do what they didn't do the season previous, if they can emulate what they did with Reece James, hopefully they can eventually do it with Fofana as well. But, Lavia's been really, really carefully dealt with. Again, suddenly you've got a really good roster of rotational midfielders and defensively minded midfielders, especially now we're pushing Enzo Fernandez on as a sort of leader up the pitch and scoring goals and whatnot. So I wanted to start on that. The defence, speaking about the defence and midfield, of course, goalkeeper is an ongoing issue that we talk about. But the attack, because we scored, I just want to quickly see how many, even though we had a really impressive defence, and just finally on that, it is a big deal because it's by far the youngest team in the Premier League. It's the youngest Premier League average squad in history. In the history of the league, it's the youngest. And defence takes discipline. So for such a young team to demonstrate discipline in defence, it's really, really impressive, of course. And, Chelsea finished 5 points of second last season. So goals for. This is where they can juice up. Although they were really comfortably above the likes of Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa, who towards the end of this campaign, that's who we were going against for the Champions League spot. Chelsea scored 64 league goals in 38 games. So generally, you want to be scoring two a game, really, don't you? In terms of being like elite. So quite a few teams scored more than us. Of course, Liverpool, we scored 68, they scored 86, 18 more goals than us. Man City scored, I think 8 more goals than us, and even they will feel like they're massively underachieved in attack. Even Newcastle scored more goals than us, four goals more than us, which is this is where we'll be looking to sort ourselves out, converting more chances. I mean, Brighton scored more goals than us, and they're in 8th. So this is where Chelsea will be looking. They'll be looking at the structure foundations. Okay, where are the goals coming from? Well, Nicholas Jackson, although he's a very useful player for Chelsea, like in terms of knowing the plan, retaining like tactical information, combining and chipping in the odd goal, it's not enough, So let's talk about the collective players. Cole Palmer, hopefully, he'll. I mean, last season it was good, bro. He was in double digits for non-penalty goals as an attacking midfielder. Still got a couple of pens. Still. I think he got 16. Wait, he got 16 goals in the league, and most of the vast majority were non-penalty. Got a bunch of assists. It was a good season. If he's going to do that again or better, which you'd bank he would, great. Suddenly, I know it's not the sexiest signing, and we'll learn more about him at the Club World Cup, but Chelsea's number 9, he took the number 9 shirt, Liam Delap. I think will make a huge difference. I think that presence in the box and a different option to Nico Jackson will be such a massive tool for us, because in certain games we saw the absence of Jackson. We were much worse in attack. We didn't know how to function, and there wasn't that other option. Suddenly there is that other option. Liam Delap, but he can do some stuff similar to Jackson, but he will have a presence in the box. And if you look at the crossing stats from last season, Chelsea were awful, but we had nothing to hit, literally nothing to hit in the middle of the box. So suddenly we've got something to hit in the middle of the box, and he'll occupy defenders, he'll beat him up a little bit, he'll, come off the bench and do that to tired legs, or Nico Jackson will come off the bench and run at tired legs. I think automatically the striker situation is much, much better. I feel way more confident than I did last season. Of course, we still might sign another, which would be exciting, and, the more the merrier until it gets absolutely mental, of course. Strikers' situation's much better. It is genuinely a lot better. We'll see what happens with Mark Yu as well. I think we'll go on loan. So this is without new signings. I'm going to include Gittins in this theory because I think it will happen. But let's just say we have Jackson and Delap really going for it for that number 1 spot. You've got players also that could fill in there as well. Right wing options: Neto, Noni Madueke, Esteval Willian. It's pretty tasty. And of course, Neto will be settled at Chelsea. Noni's a younger player, getting better, having good games for England. But let's not talk about England at the moment because they've been miserable generally. But Noni's probably been the highlight over the 2 games in the last international break. So his stock is high. Of course, people are talking about maybe a move, but he's like our form winger on the in the current roster. Before Esteval and maybe Gittins joins, he's like the form guy, getting better, trending in the right direction. Neto, for me, is the kind of player that's worked hard. He's helped us at false 9, but I think as the team gets better, which I'm banking we will, attacking-wise, he will also get better. He'll just sort of, I don't think he necessarily bears the load of the team well, but I think he will just perform better as the team does. Kind of like Sancho did and would have should he have stayed, but he's obviously gone. So Esteval, Noni, Neto, and on the left, you could say Noni and Neto still. We might still even sign one more left winger after Gittins, but Jamie Gittins as well. And it's really worth saying Gittins because let's just say Esteval settling in. Let's be realistic. Let's not put the weight of the world on this teenager's shoulders who's never played in Europe. Let's say he's not a starter for Chelsea in the first 6 months. Yeah, let's be conservative, unless he just, blows the Club World Cup apart and just can't not start for Chelsea in the Premier League. Although, of course, he's playing for Palmeiras, so he won't be gaining chemistry with his Chelsea teammates. So let's just say he doesn't start for Chelsea in the first 6 months, and he's learning, he's embedding, he's learning English, yada yada yada. It's probably Noni Madueke on the right, because it is still. I know we've liked him on the left for both England and Chelsea, but it's still his preferred position, so he can cut in. So let's say Noni on the right, he's a 1v1 winger, that's what Maresca wants. And Jamie Gittins on the left, he's a 1v1 winger, that's what Maresca wants. Delap in between, so a proper conventional, meat and potatoes number 9 between 2 proper 1v1 wingers. This is what Maresca's wanted, and he's been robbed of that 9. Although he likes Nico Jackson, and he's found a way for him to combine well and how he's important in terms of combinational play with Palmer and stuff. But suddenly you've got Palmer. I'm putting in Delap over Jackson for the moment. I like Jackson, but this is what I'm doing. And I've got nothing against him fighting his way back into Chelsea's starting 11 and being important again. I do think he's got the attitude. He played really well against England, He beat the crap out of Levi and Chalobah, the 2 Chelsea centre-backs who was starting for Chelsea at the end of the last season. They started for England. Lost 3-0, and Jackson was all over them. So I'm a Jackson believer, a Jackson truther. You guys know. I'm very happy for him to stay at Chelsea and indeed win the first choice shirt back. So we'll see what happens there. But for the moment, I think Delap flanked by 2 1v1 wingers with Cole Palmer in behind going. I know he has got a good relationship with Noni. They've played together for years at England youth level. He's obviously got a relationship with Liam Delap. I don't know if Gittins is too young to have crossed over at the City Academy or whatever. I think he probably is, but he's the kind of player that will work well and take his man on and therefore, facilitate runs for Enzo Fernandez. I think the new players in attack and the fact how the young players would literally just be a year older and very crucial developmental stages of their early careers. Chelsea's attacks. Well, let's speculate here. We scored 64 goals last season. Can we add 10 goals? Can we make that 74, which would have been 2 more than Man City scored this season, which would have been 5 more than Arsenal scored this season, and Arsenal finished second. It's still a way off Liverpool, free scoring Liverpool with, Salah and all their man in their prime. But if we add 10 goals, who knows what we can do with a great defence. Be very, very interesting indeed, because they only conceded 2 more than Liverpool. And of course, Liverpool are signing Wirtz and this, that, and the other. But even if it's not winning the Premier League, can they be in the conversation for the challenge with this new attack? I put it to you. Let me know what you think, guys. I really wanted to just talk about it because I was thinking about it earlier on a run. I was like, yeah, I really want to talk about the new attack and how it could function and what the ceiling is for next season. So let me know your thoughts, please. Comment down below. As always, thank you for liking and subscribing. If you do fancy more content, there's daily content on the second channel, Football Yannick. That's not related to Chelsea stuff. Yeah, man. Enjoy the football. See you soon. Peace.